My goodness, the world is full of such madness. At the risk of repeating myself and sounding like a stuck record on a turntable, remember those days? More needs to be said about the tragic state of affairs in Iran. When countries launch hostilities against one another, there is invariably never a quick resolution, and the days turn into weeks, months, and often years, seemingly very quickly. Such is the case in the conflict between the US and the Iranian regime, the IRGC. Following the original huffing and puffing earlier this year, the US and Israel struck strategic sites in Iran and managed to knock off the sickest of the sick, the leader Ayatollah Khomeini himself, and then each of his immediate successors, as each put his towelled head above the parapet. The unrelenting murderous assault by the IRGC continued against its own people, despite key figures in the regime having gone to meet their 72 goats in the afterlife. The world didn't seem overly concerned that tens of thousands of innocent Iranians of all ages, and some in their teens, were being summarily executed by the regime, and the world's anti-Semitic lefty media remained obsessed with Gaza and Israel, as opposed to this very real and ongoing tragedy. There was silence. President Trump has been pushed hard by his own country to end its role in smashing the IRGC and bring the war to a close. What everyone seems to have forgotten, in my humble opinion, are the Iranian people and the urgent need to eliminate the oppressive Islamic lunatics who have carried out their reign of terror for nigh on 47 years. This was surely a grand opportunity to smash the regime once and for all, and at least give the Iranian people a chance to reclaim their country from deranged thugs. Many of us were hoping Trump would finish the job, finish what he started, and give more than just words to the populace. They needed help to take back their country. They needed weapons so they could fight back against the IRGC criminals and the imported butchers, such as Hamas, skilled operatives in the indiscriminate slaughter of men, women, and children. And then there is the matter of a strange phenomenon sweeping the globe in these times. We're all acutely aware of how Muslims treat their womenfolk, and in fact all women, absolutely appallingly. Rape, torture, degradation, humiliation, subjugation, denial of human rights, denial of education. The list goes on. It's no secret, yet there is silence from women in the West, no outrage from high-profile celebrities or people with, at other times, very loud and widely broadcast voices. Not that long ago, there was the Me Too movement, of course, where it was advocated that women's allegations of sexual and other abuses should be believed without question. It seems to me that vaporized on October the 7th. Women were clearly savagely abused in every despicable way by Palestinians, yet these so-called feminists and protectors of women's rights destroyed any credibility they might have had by saying nothing. And since then, there has been a strident ongoing effort by so many men as well as women to dismiss and discredit the truth of October 7th, notwithstanding the existence of Hamas live video taken during the genocidal massacre, live streamed some of it. Hard evidence is disregarded in favour of Hamas-generated propaganda for the millions of brainwashed, Jew-hating, useful idiots. It beggars belief, it really does. It's all linked, isn't it? Why have I pivoted to the Israel-Palestine question, you may ask? Hamas are closely linked to the Iranian regime and have the same aligned, bloodthirsty intentions towards others in the region, particularly Israel. Hamas are the IRGC's intimate bedfellows and perhaps even bum buddies, so there is an undeniable connection, if you get my gist. The US and Israel cannot and must not strive for peace with the Iranian regime. The terror will not end for the Iranian people if this is achieved. Any deals done with them will not be worth the paper they're written on. You and I know this. Let's not pretend that the IRGC would honour any agreement. They won't, and so nothing at all would have been achieved for those deserving a chance of freedom, their first in 47 years. If Iran continues under the spiked jackboot of the IRGC, then it will rise up again and double down its efforts to create havoc in the region and around the world. The incidents of terrorist attacks everywhere will intensify, and Islamists and the Muslim Brotherhood will be once again emboldened. They will not stop. We all know that, and if you believe otherwise, you're a very, very naive numpty. Israel, of course, has more to lose than any other country. Israel knows this, as Iran and others, including the region colloquially termed Palestine, harbour nothing less than extreme genocidal intent. They've openly declared this. Would the left leaners of the world be up in arms if a massive invasion occurred in Israel? If thousands were killed by an attack by Iran and Palestine and others? Judging by the anti-Semitism sweeping the world at this time, I do wonder about this. I suspect the pro-Pallies and their ilk don't actually care about the death of Jews or the destruction of Israel, as they hate Jews, as much as some might argue otherwise. I think they'd rationalise it and in their own minds accept that it had to be done. So where does that leave us? Should Israel continue defending itself as it has been and is now? Of course, as if it lets its defences down, the attacks would be merciless and unrelenting. Of that there can be no doubt. There may be millions of lovely, kind and peace-loving Muslims in the world, but my God, they've been bloody quiet and invisible in the aftermath of so many terrorist events perpetrated in the name of Islam over the years. And there doesn't appear to be any sympathy expressed for victims. There's something unnerving about that. Islam's true believers in good need to speak up and be heard. I get that they may be afraid of repercussions, but remember the quote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." Anonymous letters to the editor by Muslims wouldn't at the very least give us some hope that there is hope? Think about it. That's enough for now, I would say.